Alright, evening folks, Phil Gallagher of ThrabenU here for another sweet Legacy stream. This stream is brought to you by Nicholas R., who donated to see a deck that he has dubbed Myth Disco Pox. Alright, the Pox part, longtime Legacy fans, you know that small pox. The other two parts of the equation, maybe less familiar. So, number one, the myth side of the equation. That is myth realized. You can pay 3 mana to put a lore counter on it, or whenever you cast a non-creature spell, you can put a lore counter on it. For one white mana, you can turn it into a creature whose size is the same as the number of lore counters on it. So, essentially, you're looking to play out one of these, play a normal game of Magic, and then activate it, swing for 7 or 8, activate, swing for 7 or 8, and the game ends. So that's the myth side of the equation. Oh, I'm glad you enjoyed the daily death and taxes. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't remember which one aired today, because I'm 2 weeks into the future right now, so I don't remember which league it was, but I'm glad you're enjoying it. I'm working on doing some things to improve the YouTube side of the equation. Let me finish the deck tech, and then I'll show off a couple other things that I've got planning for that. Just remember 2 weeks ago, it's easy. Yeah, it's fine. I only play like 5 leagues a week. / brain melt. And now for the disco ball. The disco ball refers to sphere of resistance. Let me pull up the other art. There we go. The other sphere of resistance art looks more like a disco ball. I just forgot to grab that art. So the disco ball here is sphere of resistance. So the goal is that between sphere of resistance, smallpox, sinkhole, wasteland, and vindicate, that you take your opponent off of everything that they know and love. Tabernacle is also another stacking sort of taxation effect, which your myth realized, luckily, is going to dodge. So, what are the advantages of playing this over normal pox? What are the advantages of playing normal pox? Hold up. This is tricky. Whew. Alright. Taking the question seriously, though. This deck list is very, very heavy on mana denial. If your opponent needs more than 2 lands to do anything that they're trying to do with their deck list, they are probably going to be in a lot of trouble. So the goal is to really put your put your opponent in a chokehold as far as mana goes. This version is a little discard lighter than traditional Pox might be, but we have a real giant threat in the form of Myth Realized. If you get to play this early on, it's pretty gross. You also get access to Vindicate, which, while your primary plan is just to point that at a land and blow up a land, your secondary plan is, oh hey, sweet thing my opponent has, I'm going to blow that up instead. So, I don't know. For example, is there any one, say, 3 mana planeswalker that costs a blue and a green and 1 colorless that makes a bunch of elks that is very difficult for Pox to beat? Oh, there is! Well, now we have 4 main deck answers to that sucker, without having to rely on something like Pithing Needle or Sorcerous Spyglass out of the sideboard, and that opens up a little bit of room over here. The 1 win you get feels like 4. Yeah, that's a huge advantage. But, need I remind you, we're basically a Pox expert, since we 5-0'd with this deck that's basically Pox a couple of weeks ago. So, let's not forget that. The sideboard here has Ashiok, which has been sweet, as well as a handful of other cool things. You have Duress, Surgical, Crypt for combo, Ashiok for, I don't know, we'll probably board that in every matchup. Ashiok's really good. We have Bantu's Last Reckoning, which is a pretty sick sweeper. It's a little conditional, but it's pretty good with artifact mana. Tonight I'm just going to hop into it, and we'll see how we go with this deck list. This one's definitely a little bit of a meme deck list. I won a Legacy League with Myth Disco Pox. Yeah, so the artist who whipped up the D&T thumbnail that I've been using, I contacted them about making some alternate versions. So now I'm going to put daily D&T in this color from here on out, and then I'll put my streams in one of the blue colors, and any other assorted videos that I upload, I'll put into the third color. Because I realize when I look on my channel, you can't, like, at a glance quickly tell, like, what is D&T content versus not D&T content. So looking to solve that problem. Oh, by the way, speaking of sweet stuff, check out what we got, chat. It's me. The Phil emote is now live. Which I'm pretty excited about. His hand is amazing. What could possibly go wrong? Opponent reads myth realized in before WTF Phil in chat. If my opponent paused much longer, I think I was going to type, "Force it, you coward. You won't." So the interesting question here is, like, whether or not I would actually smallpox on this turn, because I totally could by sacrificing this plains, but I kind of just want to play another myth realized. That's interesting. Main phase fetch brainstorm. Whoop! Whoop! Uh-oh! Uh-oh, hot dog! So, we're playing against TES, the Epic Storm. God, just empty. Just empty. Oh, come on. Just empty. Do it. Do it. Let me tabernacle. Daddy wants to kill a lot of goblins with a tabernacle. Come on. 4 mana. Double crack. Oh no, I think they have a deterministic kill with 8 mana. So it's Infernal Tutor for Burning Wish for Tendrils. Boo. Okay. So not starting out strong. But if they would have had the goblins, we would have been fine. Okay. What am I doing with my life? GG, well played. Okay, so Ashiok seems fine. Pithing Needle on Wishclaw Totem seems fine. Tormod's Crypt is something I can consider. It's not really great, but it might be better than other things I have. Surgical is in a similar situation, and Duress is good. I think it's just going to be a question of how many things do I have to actually board out. So, these are good. These are good. These are good. These are bad. These are bad. This is not great. If my opponent isn't playing creatures, then Smallpox isn't exactly fantastic. I don't really want to sacrifice my own lands. And my opponent can go off on relatively little mana, so I think I'm going to go with Smallpox out. Crucible Wasteland is, like, glacially slow. I think I'm going to cut that. I like Surgical better than Crypt. And then the question is, like, am I actually playing Crypt? Vindicate can also hit Wish Claw Totem. So I kind of want to trim 2-ish of those. I maybe won't play those. They're not really great against most of what that deck has going on. They're only good against the Echo of Eons. I could probably just drop one more Vindicate. Oh, no, I have the Liliana Last Hopes that I was thinking about boarding out. Okay, hold up. I might be kind of win condition light if I board those out. But my opponent conceding is a win condition, right? That's how it works? Turn 1, him to Turok before my opponent gets a turn. Hello and welcome. So the real question with this hand is, how do I actually play this hand? Like, do I just YOLO him on turn 1, or do I play my win condition before hemming? Opponent's gone to 6. I'm probably hemming now. That has answered that question. Get him. A land and a Wishclaw Talisman. I consider that a success. Would love to spike the land for the Ashiok before my opponent gets to search more. Nice. I suppose I didn't actually have to fetch that turn. I could have just tapped that. So this Ashiok is probably pretty annoying, he says as the Storm player kills him. That's the classic tap Volcanic Island for black off of my Urborg. Or you have Petal as your last card? You left black, 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 black floating. Yeah. Okay. GG, well played. Very aggressive line from our opponent over there. So, does my opponent going for empty that aggressively mean that I should board in Bontu's Last Reckoning to just have more outs to goblins? That's probably better than Tormod's Crypt when I'm on the draw. Yeah, I wonder if my opponent just got kind of mixed up by the whole Urborg situation, right? Like, they maybe looked down and went like, I have red mana because I have tapped this card, and I don't know. Like, it seems to me like they definitely had game if they continued playing, because the Burning Wish side of the deck doesn't actually cause you to have to search at all. It's just the Wishclaw Talisman side of the deck that I'm actively good against. Pithing Needle for Wishclaw into him to Turok. Good enough, I guess. I'm not excited about it. But it's probably fine. I like that way better. Let's punch a hole. Oh god, opponent's hand is so good. So good. Oh. I think I need to stick them with as... I think I have to take the Dark Ritual here and just leave them with 3 payoff cards. My opponent will play a land, and I'll hope to hit a decent number of them with the him on the following turn. I can potentially also just, like, Sinkhole instead of hemming. Alright, so Burning Wish and Badlands are gone. Opponent's gotten a Thoughtseize. So this is probably the opportunity where I go ahead and hymn them and see what happens. Alright, Thoughtseize empty. So we know my opponent has Adnaz. We've taken a lot of my opponent's mana. Oh man, like another hymn off the top would be pretty sick. An Echo, alright. Okay. Turn basically plays itself. So enters tapped unless I control a swamp. I do control a swamp. Guana Maestro, thank you very much for raiding. For everyone who's just tuning in, hello, my name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University. And today we are playing with a black-white Pox deck. We are currently in match 1 against TES, the Epic Storm. Alright, how does this card actually work? 3 mana, draw a card, lose life equal to the number of cards in your hand. Okay, so we're probably doing that, and I can play these in multiple. They're not legendary. This isn't legendary? Oh, that's cool. I boarded out the Tormod's Crypt. I have 2 surgical extractions that I could draw into, but I would rather play around Duress by waiting. Okay. Lion's Eye Diamond alone may be enough to let them go off. Because they can just LED, discard Echo, and make an attempt at going off. Thoughtseize me, you fool. I have nothing. We're going to make it real easy for our opponent to kill us via Storm. Ooh! Surgical is interesting. So first things first, I'm sinkholing that land. Now, do I actually just Surgical Extraction Dark Ritual to make it harder to cast ad nauseum? Or do I try to wait until they attempt to go off with Echo? That's trickier. I think I'm just going to main phase Nug the Dark Ritual. Would you like to draw step the Dark Ritual, and on the off stance that they have brainstormed into another Dark Ritual, they can go Rit Adnaz? I am 100% not willing to risk that. Alright, so they have Burning Wish, Rite of Flame, and I should take a picture of this. Yes, it is so low. But I have relatively low amounts of control of my destiny at this time. So I really need to, like, do things that are going to allow... maybe that's a reason why I should have gotten rid of this, but I was shutting off cantrips. Shoop, thank you very much for supporting the channel. I appreciate it. Enjoy your new emotes. There's now 2 of them. We'll... Do we want to take a redraw? We can go 1, 2, 3, redraw, lose some life. I can put the Wasteland into play before doing that. Yes, that's fine. Strong. Alright. We know both cards in their hand are red at this time. They don't have access to red mana currently. Never mind, there's red mana. But they don't have Dark Rituals to also get going. Oh, just for a... Ooh. So, what do they need? LED and Echo would be fine. Non-basic lands would be fine. This is pretty strong for me. It also just has synergy with my castle. So now if I want, I can activate the castle again. I'm not sure that I do want... Like, the card is nice, but just going Hellbent so I don't lose more life is probably okay. What's the order of operations here? Draw a card, so it would cost me 2 life for a card. I accept. I don't know if that's correct, though. That's pretty okay. I may have made a mistake. If I play that Herber, that turns this into, like, a guaranteed mana-producing land. Yeah, I should have played my fetch land. I'm just going to discard this. And I'll take a life to draw a card. So I haven't made my land drop yet, so I can play it no matter what. I'm pretty close to the point where I will stop drawing cards off Castle Locthwain. Beautiful. Unbanned Mental Misstep, thank you very much for following. Hope you're prepared for shenanigans. That's what I've got tonight. Alright, you can hide something on top of your library. But now I get to wasteland that underground sea. Oh, we are poxing. Absolutely. Quote, myth disco pox, end quote. And Mazerin the Mage, thank you very much for following as well. So, at least after round 1, we can say that we are currently undefeated. We are 1-0 in matches. Feels good. I was definitely worried that game. Not gonna lie. We had plenty of good draws, but if my opponent could have assembled something reasonable, even a small empty, I think they would have beat us. I mean, do we even have a win con? We have Myth Realized. And Concessions. I expect that Concession is actually our greatest win con. Yeah, 1-0, best deck ever, broke the format, heck with Breach. How does Breach beat Discard? Breach can't beat Discard, right? Right? What do you mean top deck Breach beats Discard 100% of the time? Oh. We'll solve that problem when we get to it. They were on TES, so they had Burning Wish and Red Rituals. I think it was game 1, we got just natural tendrils out off a Burning Wish Infernal Tutor chain. And then we managed to pick up the others. Oh yeah, like when I had that 5-0 stream with this deck, which is like very much in the spirit of Pox, it was just absolutely ridiculous. Like, you know, natural high because you're just like winning with this pile of cards that you have no business winning with. So the version that we're playing tonight does not have Leyline. It has Tormod's Crypt and Surgical Extraction. I think Leyline is a better card as a whole. It's also hard castable in this deck. But Surgical is pretty darn good with discard, so I understand. I just think Leyline is one of the best sideboard cards in the format right now. All right, we're playing against LSV. We'll keep this hand. How can LSV beat him to Turok and Sinkhole? Probably by casting reasonable magic cards, but we'll find out. Well, how much Legacy does LSV actually play, right? This is my bait spell. So it looks like we're playing against Grixis Delver. Urborg is going to turn their Valks into Tri-lands. Oh, he's playing PVDH's Grixis Breach deck. Okay. So next turn, I would really like to go Sinkhole and Hymn to Turok. And just use all 4 of my mana and double spell. So I kind of want to Vindicate this turn. Alright, opponent has a Brainstorm now. So we probably lose this, but it depends on what they have. Nice. So if I play Urborg, this land is like very clearly better. So we're going to go ahead and blow up the vault. Or at least attempt. And then resolve a sphere. The Ponder kept. So now all we need to do is draw something that answers this Delver before we die. So this would increase the cost of one of my 3 CMC things to 5. I think I'm okay with that if it means that my opponent can't actually cast spells ever. So all we need to do now is beat this Delver. We don't get a lot of time. Yeah, the fill emote got approved. Now we potentially just die to a lightning bolt as this game goes along. Hey. Say Livy. Say La LSV? Spellmaster in chat? If so, that one was for you. Alright. So we're playing against the Delver Breachy sort of deck. So we're gonna have to consider what side of the equation my opponent is going to be playing. The Porphyry Node side is amazing versus Delver. I didn't have any game, and I'm playing a weird deck list. Cut me some slack. So some of these things are good against one side of the deck or the other, but many of these cards are not good against both. So for example, the Smallpox is great against Delver, but less so against the Breach side of the deck. I don't think I want to like Surgical or Crypt against the combo side of the deck. I will potentially Ashiok, but it's kind of medium. So I don't think I want to get rid of any of those. I don't think I want to get rid of these. I don't think I can get rid of these. I don't think I'm going to Crucible. Vindicate still answer Delvers, but are expensive. Maybe let's trim 2 of those. Actually, maybe just spending mana to purely impact the lands isn't good enough. How does it look like if I sort by converted mana cost doing this? Myth, Porphyry Nodes, Duress, Him, Hogs. This plus this is kind of awkward, but whatever. No, we're gonna keep the Tabernacles for the Delver side of the deck. Not like that. This is turn 2, jam a Planeswalker down their throat. This is not a great hand. Turn 1 Smallpox on the play. That is an aggressive line. I think I'm actually bottoming the Smallpox here. So I think I'll go Swamp, play Mox Diamond, discard Scrub, pass the turn, and then make it so that my turn 2 play can't get, like, Thoughtseized away. I really need to cast these 3-drops, though. I don't know that I can Smallpox that away. If I'm casting Smallpox, I'm actually hoping for it to get countered. I'm not doing it. You only live once, but Smallpox would make that life shorter. That sure is true. You got me there. Why is magic so hard? So now I can cast... I think it's better to Vindicate and waste this turn, and then Pox next turn. It's also possible that I should just Vindicate a land. Yeah, so, like, I'm definitely playing this. That's happening. The question is, like, do I Vindicate land, do I Vindicate Delver? I can just leave the Delver, destroy a land, destroy the other land, they play a land, Smallpox both. Alright, I got a Force Will, which I'm super happy about. So now we're going to get rid of the Underground Sea so our Smallpox doesn't get Thoughtseized, and then we'll hope to, like, draw a land. It's less good against that now. Let's tap this way. This fight favors my opponent currently. But hey, who are we to stop casting cards? And we'll reset the game. This seems good. This is pod racing. Absolutely. 100% as the creator intended right here. Draw, go. Nice, healthy magic. That's actually kind of interesting. Just gonna take the cantrip. Taking the Brain Freeze doesn't really do anything. I have the Sphere of Resistance in play. And now I have a win condition. Now we just wait until we're out of Lightning Bolt range, or just only attack on turns where my opponent... having another Mox in play is probably better than playing another Swamp. Could attack for 1, but I'd rather just put more lore counters on this. Yeah, my 1 mana discard a card Mox. Pretty hot top deck. I know everyone's loving it. I think I'm just going to put 1 more lore counter on before attacking. I could just play this, let it die, and then put another lore counter on Myth Realize. That way I play around Lightning Bolt in future turns. Nice. We'll hang on to that. We have a pretty swift clock. And our opponent is done with us now. Good stuff. So we know my opponent still does have the combo side of the deck in there. We saw the Brain Freeze. We know my opponent has Young Pyromancer. Seeing Young Pyromancer, I should really consider Bantu's Last Reckoning and Snaring Bridge, since Smallpox is very, very, very bad against Young Pyromancer specifically. So here's a time where we can think a little. Will my opponent board out the combo portion of their deck now knowing that I have Sphere of Resistance? Did I show Sphere in game 1? I did. So they still kept it in. So maybe let's trim some Vindicates. And 1 Smallpox for 3 other cards. They're going to come down a little later. And honestly, maybe if I'm going to bring in a couple more 3-drops, I should trim a Sphere. The other thing I could do is just really decrease the number of Sphere effects that I'm playing to just play more answers to the creatures. And just say, hey, is my discard package good enough to beat your combo package? I'm not sure how I feel about that. If I cut this other Sphere, I'll bring in at least 1 Ashiok, and probably the 2nd Ashiok. Ashiok's very good against the combo side of the deck. Just making it so that my opponent can't build a graveyard over multiple turns. Let's try that. So against Normal Breach, from the standpoint of this deck, this is interesting. Just still whack the keep button. I still whack the keep button. I have lands and spells. It's about the best we can hope for with this deck. Smallpox into Smallpox or Wasteland first? I think I like Smallpox into Smallpox. I think I'm going to discard my Wasteland, actually. Play this land. Cast the Smallpox. Force pitching a True Name. I mean, I'm super happy that a True Name's gone. That card's really hard for me to beat. It's a Bolt. I need to be cognizant of that for Liliana of the Veil reasons. I can potentially take a Delver and Lightning Bolt too for... Ooh, baby. Ooh. That's very good. So the question is, what do I do this turn now? I think it's just cast Smallpox. And start by seeing if that resolves. If it doesn't resolve, my follow-up is Porphyry Nodes. Got him. So note, my opponent can like play out a Young Pyromancer plus one other spell and potentially get there. Alright, so they've gotten rid of their Lightning Bolt that I saw. So now we're just looking to dodge Breach from my opponent. I guess a Breach isn't really lethal yet. Brazen Borrower. Nope. Lightning Bolt the Lily. Do you have the other bolt now? Oh, you do have the other bolt now. Alright, well, I put you to the test. You passed. Oh, that feels good. Oh, boy, that feels good. Goodbye, Graveyard. I don't think my opponent is likely to have red-red or black-black things, so it doesn't really matter what I tap down here. I can start minusing this Ashiok into Lightning Bolt range, which I think I'm okay with. It is my primary win condition at this time. Now that my opponent has triple red, we'll start attacking black instead. I imagine he's having a good time over there. Sure, what card you got over there? I'll take it. Aw. Opponent has 25 cards left in library. I still have another Ashiok. I have an answer to a Delver or equivalent. Chat is assuming that LSV is recording, which is probably a safe assumption. So I can play around my opponent having hardcast Force of Will by porting and playing this in my second main phase. I can still play around a Spell Pierce by doing that. Force of Negation, Force of Negation. They had a force, we picked the wrong force. We couldn't play around the other one, though. Goodbye, Porphyry Nodes. I guess I can play towards keeping my opponent off of main phase black mana in the future. That's pretty good. Brazen Borrower. Brazen Borrower. Sure. Unfortunately, our Liliana is going down. And then my opponent will have a threat in play. I'm going to go ahead and hold this Duress and play it before I make some other play of relevance. Yikes, another one of those. Okay. Just saying, Bantu's Last Reckoning is looking pretty sick. Infernal Tutor presumably will just get a Breach. And then I'm probably dead to just Breach and Lightning Bolts. No, getting a Delver. Just absolutely leaning into the sweeper. So I'm taking 7 next turn. I am dead if the Delver flips. So the question here is, do I fetch land thin? How many outs do I have? So I have 1, 2, 3. Tabernacle doesn't do it. 3 outs. 1 removal spell can buy me a turn. I'm probably not supposed to fetch. Yeah, Smallpox isn't a winning line anyway, though. So now I should just play this to turn this into a mana-producing land. Kroxa, Titan of Death's Hunger. So if you're not familiar with that one, it's pretty okay in this position. It doesn't kill me, but it's very good. Alright, GG's. How far down was that Vontu's Last Reckoning? We had 2 more cards to go for Bridge. Legacy Council, Arkin, thank you very much for hosting. We are playing Black-White Pox tonight, folks. We are currently 1-1. And we have another absolute snap keep here. Lomer Boy, I'm probably going to post that on YouTube sometime in the next week. So you will see soon. I don't remember what I played, but I do remember thinking that you have too many pain lands in your deck. I think one of the cycle lands is fine, but I think 2 of those cycle lands plus the Cabal Pit is just too much self-life loss. I mean, I really like some of the lists that Mats was posting online. I'm sure you did too. This is inconvenient for me. I also hate it when people do this. Like, ponder first, make your decision after you've, considered all of your options. You may have better options than wastelanding me. Just little things. Like, when you don't need to play around days, there's basically no reason to play your land out prior to a cantrip. Interesting. So this isn't actually going to change the clock, right? But this Delver's probably going to flip. My opponent had the opportunity to set it up with Ponder. So do I need to actually play towards removing it, or can I play towards just Tabernacle? No, I'm gonna go ahead and Tabernacle. So the thing about Tabernacle is that with Urborg, it actually counts as me making a land drop. It just means that I can't port my opponent next turn. But I already am porting my opponent next turn effectively via Tabernacle. He played D&T at Indy, played Remorseful Cleric. What do I think with them? Generally speaking, I've been unimpressed by Remorseful Cleric in previous metagames. But I could totally see it being a reasonable inclusion right now. I think D&T has to adapt to the current metagame, and I don't think we're really there yet with any of the builds. It just feels like everything that I'm doing to adapt just gets beat by either Swords to Plowshares or Wear Tear. So, where does that leave us? So, Cleric is probably a fine flex slot. That's more annoying than it looks because it's keeping me off of double 3-drops. So we're facing down the double Delver opener after getting wastelanded twice. If my opponent doesn't have counterspells, we can talk. If they have a bunch of red cards that are stranded in their hand, I'm okay. But otherwise, I'm in danger. I think XJ Cloud's Meddling Mage D&T list is an absolute shit pile. And I don't mean that as an insult to XJ Cloud. He's trying. But I think it's next week. next week you all are going to see a daily D&T where we see exactly how bad that pile is. I think it has all the same problem, well, many of the same problems that the Esper Vile deck has. Alright, so we got Force of Negation, and now my Liliana Veil is terrible. No outs? Feels like no outs. Can Sinkhole and Wasteland myself, though. But, I think we're just gonna call that one there. So, Lumberboy, I don't know if you looked at the deck list dump for today, but one of the D&T lists that placed in the challenge from Sunday had 4 Deafening Silence in the sideboard. You know, that's a pretty big statement. All right, I like nodes. I like bridge. I like Bantu well enough. And Duress and Ashiok go into the pile of things that I can consider. So if we get some time in between rounds, like, actually no. While my opponents are making their play, since I always get to F6, we'll talk about some D&T positioning. So I have mixed feelings against Delver. Like, now that my opponent isn't combo Delver, but they're probably just regular Delver, I think I'm supposed to just board out my Sphere since I'm playing a bunch of 3-drops. And I think I just want to have the greatest degree of answers to their creatures as possible. So, like, maybe not these. But, like, am I even supposed to Sinkhole them? Or do I just play, like, Do I just play like 19 removal spells, 7 discard spells, 3 true win conditions, and something that gets me back in the game if I get wastelanded? I think this is fine, and we just drop some of the straight mana denial. Yeah, I think Militant is potentially very good in decks like Maverick. So I just, like, die if I keep this hand, right? But it's so good with a Black Source or Mox. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 hits. This is better. I'm just going to play Marsh Flats and pass, hoping that my opponent isn't on Stifle Delver. I don't know that I will cast a Smallpox on my turn. I will not cast a Smallpox on my turn, in fact. What is Necroplasm? Necroplasm. Exclamation mark card. Necroplasm. Beginning of your upkeep, put a +1/+1 counter on Necroplasm. At the beginning of your end step, destroy each creature with converted mana cost equal to the number of counters on it. That's interesting. My opponent has forced pitching a Flusterstorm. I consider that a win. Young Pyromancer. Don't daze me? Yeah, I believe don't daze me is the correct answer here. Because if I play Smallpox and they have daze, they just get to sacrifice a creature token instead, even though it doesn't counter the Smallpox, and that actually puts me really far behind. So I think we're going for don't daze me. Yep. So that daze was beating all of the cards in our hand. Now Wasteland my Urborg. End me. Oh man, I so can't cast these Smallpoxes now. So we're treating this Liliana as a distraction. We're hoping that it buys us time to get to, like, Tabernacle or Bontu's Last Reckoning or something like that. Maybe we Liliana the Veil first, because the other one will kill the Pyro if Liliana the Veil gets dazed. Yeah, that's a really good point. My sequencing was definitely poor there. Wastelanding this Urborg is rough and punishes my play earlier of getting planes. Oh man, yeah, just like play a True Name or something. Let me get Bontu's Last Reckoning out. Let me do it. Oh, come on. Bontu's off the top! Dang it. We were so close. This actually does something, though. So black, 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 black. Oh no, this doesn't do something. So I'm going to discard one of the Smallpox to the other. So keeping that in mind, I should Lily plus. No, I think I need to keep 3 mana so that I can... it's interesting. I guess I 100% need them to lose this land, and they might keep it otherwise. So since if I cast Smallpox, I'm discarding Smallpox anyway. I should Lily plus first. Alright, so we've now played around Force of Will. That's cool. So what land am I sacrificing? I need to Wasteland this if they don't sacrifice it. But if they sacrifice it, I don't want to Wasteland. I think I don't want planes. So I think I'm going to attack this for black, black, cast Smallpox. So I will sacrifice my planes. They have kept that. So now I need to Wasteland their Wasteland, so I keep double black. Now Young Pyromancer kills Lily. I get hit to 12. And I have a little bit of time to draw into both land and Bontu's. or Tabernacle. Just Tabernacle would be fine. It dramatically decreases the clock. So Dead of Winter is less good in this deck than in traditional Pox, because you have a surprising number of cards that aren't named Swamp. Alright, not a lot of time here. Alright. Let's do some math. 3, 4, 5, 6, dead. Womp womp. Lots of Delver tonight. Our mana situation has been a touch awkward. Maybe they don't see the line. That's true. Could have played for 15 more seconds and made him play to it, but felt pretty confident with that one. So I did mess up that game. And I definitely could have been in a much better position. That True Name probably still beats me in the long run, but if I would have played Lily Vale before Lily Last Hope, I definitely would have been in a better position. I only have one mana source here. I'm going to go ahead and ship this one. Yes. Yes. So the question now becomes, now what? I think I want to Hymn or Sinkhole on turn 1, and I need to keep the Mox to do that, so I'm going to discard the Smallpox. I'm discarding Tabernacle here. That way I can Crucible next turn if I want to Crucible next turn. Like, I just don't know at this point in time whether or not the Tabernacle's good, and if my opponent is playing a Wasteland deck, I don't know that I want to get, like, quote, double Wastelanded by my Urborg getting destroyed. Yeah, so keeping the Tabernacle leans into my Urborg pretty hard. Chat, you seeing this? My opponent F6 their turn. Feels like my opponent F6 their turn rather than had nothing. Nope. Oh, they just didn't have anything. Okay. So we can play around Pierce by playing out another one of those. Force Pitch Trick Bind. So is my opponent just like mono stifles dot deck? Just like stifles and flash creatures? Well, opponent's doing stuff over there. Wasteland me. Wasteland me. Okay, we found the win con. It was the second sphere. So, what are we doing against mono blue stifles? So I guess there's gonna be like Snapcasters, Brazen Borrowers, Clicks maybe. Assuming we play around Stifle effects on our fetch lands. It's not like Stifle is amazing versus us. I feel like Ashiok is not going to be great. Disco Ball. More so in the old art, though. I feel like Ashiok is not going to be great. Like, maybe if I do confirm Snapcasters are there, it's worth doing. Kind of like the bridge. I don't think I'm supposed to Smallpox. Because my opponent is trying to deny us mana via, like, Wasteland Stifle, Trickbind, Nimble Obstructionist. Dreadnoughts in there? Those would be cool. If Dreadnoughts are in there, I should probably Porphyry Nodes. What do I play if I play... Like, what do I take out if I play Porphyry Nodes? Like, do I just no longer become the mana denial deck? Like, 100%? 2 Sinkholes seems weird. Like, should I just play Bontus at that point? On that note, am I supposed to actually board out Spheres since they're symmetrical? And Sinkhole? I'm obviously unsure here. I have so little data about what my opponent's doing that boarding is difficult. So do I keep a hand which only has non-basic black, but has 2 lands and can play a win con on turn 1? I think I do. Because this game is probably going, like, hella long, right? So when the game is going to go super long, it's better to have gas. Peak is in there. Opponent and I are going to have a good old-fashioned weird off. Where we both try to be weird, and whoever's weirder probably wins. Like, I don't beat Dreadnought Stifle here. Tapped black land. Your move. Fair. Fair. Yeah, we have mana. This plane's good. Planes activates Myth Realized. That's our win condition. Commandeer? Commandeer. Alright. We got a 2-for-1 with our duress. That is winning. Dude, my opponent is memeing right. I'm potentially losing the Spice War, yes. Tap out for Crucible? Then I can make another land drop of Tabernacle, and it grows the Myth Realized. I don't know that I want to attack Myth Realized into a 3-power creature, in all seriousness. I'll cast spells. You gotta run out of gas sooner or later. What's this deck? No, I will not pay 2 for a divert. I applaud my opponent, if nothing else. I'm playing out this land because I don't know what's going to happen mid-combat. I may need 2 mana for something. Oh yeah, opponent's deck is awesome. I'm probably supposed to put a counter on Myth Realized because it changes it to a 2-turn clock instead of a 3-turn clock. Yeah, I know my opponent plays Brazen Borrower. But tapping multiple lands to do that is a little questionable. I'm gonna do it anyway. Like, giving my opponent fewer turns to draw towards an out to this is probably just better. Opponent's deck is awesome. Oh, there's a Dreadnought. There's a Stifle. Port is awkward. So opponent can't attack with this Dreadnought, though, without having a chump blocker available. That's a chump blocker. Now they can attack. They'll die to a removal spell on the Delver, though. Okay. That's fine. So will they attack now? That becomes the next question. They will. The herbivore play was so good. Now I don't get to Bantu's Last Reckoning. They saw the line. Alright, so we have confirmed that my opponent does have Dreadnoughts in there. So, do I want the Smallpox again as answers to Dreadnought? It doesn't feel like sinkholing my opponent is really all that great. Like, they have lots of lands. These games are going to go long. I essentially just need to not die to one of their creatures. So I'm probably going to play these Smallpox, but not necessarily aggressively cast them. I'm not sure that the spheres are good. It's weird. Nope. Yes. So this is a turn 2 Planeswalker, and I can duress on turn 1 if I throw back Vindicate. Null Rod is kind of annoying because I'm going to play Mox Diamond on 2. I think I take the Null Rod and then just try to like play around the divert. Although there's a real argument for just taking the divert. I wish I could take the Brazen Borrower. Like, I wish this was a Thoughtseize. Because then I would 100% do that. I think I take the Null Rod. And so that this doesn't randomly get countered by a Daze or something, I think I'm going to play this Mox now and pitch my Caracas. So I can play this. And this should resolve unless my opponent happened to top deck a counterspell. Alright, great. We plus. I discard port. What will my opponent get rid of? They have gotten rid of their Dreadnought. So we have perfect information going into the turn. One thing that I have to keep in mind that can happen is Petty Theft targeting my Liliana in response to a plus. So because of that, I need to plus my Liliana before playing my land. Which is awkward. Otherwise, I just hemorrhage value to the petty theft when I don't really need to. It's so weird. But if I keep the Marsh Flats, I can, like, Castle Lockdwain, but then there's the Winter Orb. Yeah, so I think it's correct to do this. So that's going to get rid of the Divert from my opponent. No, it gets rid of the Winter Orb. Okay, I'm pretty happy about that, considering that I have this castle. Now I'll pass my turn. Will my opponent just Brazen Borrow or bounce the Lily? They will. That's an annoyance. JK. That's savage. Now my opponent can hard cast this. That's interesting. If I cast it, they just float the mana, discard Divert, sack a land, and then have a 3/1 in play. So I want to do this once Brazen Borrower is in play. I believe it is correct to take another hit to play this first. That is a very valuable card in this matchup. It also potentially allows me to draw a land to play Smallpox. Are we racing? My life total is a resource. Yeah, I'm gonna play the other Myth Realize this turn. I'm not sure if that's correct. But it's going to be real hard for my opponent to take enchantments off the board. So I think I start this off with play land, attempt fetch. Yeah, there we go. Opponent taps some mana. Then I go black, colorless, because I'm going to sacrifice this wasteland. So I go black, colorless, black, Smallpox. Alright, actual factual counterspell. That is not great for me. Force of Will. Alright, that kind of sucks. The opponent has me on a 3-turn clock. That back to basics doesn't actually do that much. Never mind. So if we draw a land that's not a fetch land, we probably win? Question mark? But opponent could have a stifle effect that also does us in. Alright, hype moment. Does my opponent still have that divert from earlier? Because if so, that alone does it. Nope. Or maybe divert doesn't work on everything. I don't know the text of divert. Yo, deal. That's like actively good for me. Alright, they discard divert. So now I can read the text of this. Target spell. Okay, so not abilities. So opponent's Winter Orb is actually doing work for me at this point. Not that they need a lot of mana to do stuff. This is our emergency out button that we can use to kill ourselves. Yeah, we discarded it. Guess we can't kill ourselves now. That's a shame. Opponent is dead to me drawing a white source now. But I can't fetch for it. So it has to be like a scrub land naturally. The opponent doesn't have a flash creature here. I like my odds. Wow. That's a second Null Rod. Fair, opponent. Fair. Stifle it. I respect that. I respect that a lot. Opponent has a lot of counter magic they're discarding. So on my next turn, I can Lily minus and split Null Rod versus. I can also hymn the Turok before doing it. Oh, we got rid of a Stifle. Nice. I'm going to put Null Rod in this pile and everything else in that other pile, okay? And you can pick which pile you want. I know there's a lot of cards in one of them and not very many in the other, so, like, take your pick. Okay. Well, yep. GG. What a ridiculous game of Magic. So, in case you're not aware of what happened there, I split Null Rod versus so that I can activate the Myth Realize this turn and kill them if they pick this pile. Otherwise, they're left with only Null Rod to, like, my board of all these lands that get to untap now and Myth Realized. Yeah, so by picking the Null Rod pile, they get to keep themselves alive, but they're in kind of bad shape, right? Folks, it's getting kind of warm in here. There's a lot of spice going on, so I'm going to go ahead and take a minute and refill my water. I will be right back. All right. Sorry about the delay, folks. I'm back. Let's see if we can hop into round 5 here. Yeah, that was a very ridiculous match, right? Super happy with that one, like, no matter how things go from here. So for anyone who's new tonight, hi, my name's Phil Gallagher. I run Thraben University, the site for Legacy, Death, and Taxes. Today we are playing a rather ridiculous donation deck list. We are playing with Black-White Pox. What are we, 2-2 currently? 2-2 currently, which is pretty good. I consider that a success with this deck. But hopefully we'll 3-2. I'll get my money back and a little bit extra. We've had some clunky moments on stream. What do we want to play against in the last round? I want to play against whatever Sam 51087 is playing. Keep. Let's battle. I will sinkhole you. I will find you. I will sinkhole you. Interesting. Blue painter. So I think I sinkhole. But there's worlds where I'm actually just supposed to Sphere of Resistance instead. So I could go like Swamp, Mox, discard Scrubland, cast Sphere. Then Sinkhole on the following turn. Then Lily from there. I don't know. Maybe I'm supposed to just like Sinkhole into Lily. Lily minus kill the Welder before the Welder can do too much damage. Yeah, I mean, if I Sphered now, I'd be Sinkholing next turn to like lean more into the Sphere effect. Something awkward that I need to keep in mind is that if I get this Sphere into the graveyard somehow, like by discarding it with Lily, then Goblin Welder is live to swap out the Sphere and the Mox. This is a hard turn. I can waste and Sphere and just lean into my mana denial because I have 2 more lands. I think that's okay, but it's going to get real weird if they draw lands and they can start grindstoning themselves. But this can't be that wrong. They have no mana sources currently. Oh man. We've done it. We're geniuses. You saw it here, folks. That's okay. That turns the Mox Opal into mana. That's horrendous for me. Okay, they didn't hit anything amazing. But my Lily is now so much worse. Because they're going to get to keep something around one way or another. Alright, they have multiple somethings. Man, my opponent did a really amazing job of playing around Sphere of Resistance there. By playing the Petal to turn on the Opal to reduce the casting cost of Emery, plus also filter colors. Oh. Well, that's good. So in order, this kills Goblin Welder, followed by Goblin Welder, and then I get to Lily minus kill the Emery. So things are okay. Opponent may like remove their Grindstone for a Lotus Petal, depending on what the rest of their hand looks like. Yeah. So they've actually taken themselves off of Metalcraft now. Emery can get Metalcraft back. Oh, they've welded out the Mox. Alright, they have another opal. Cool. Now what? Yes. So my opponent has just put a couple more cards into their graveyard with Emery. Unfortunately, they have a painter now. Does that matter, though? They don't have the mana that they need. And I don't think they can get it. I'm going to plus Lily on Goblin Welder, minus get their Emery in all likelihood. Then Wasteland, blow up the Ancient Tomb, and I can sandbag the Wasteland that's in my hand. Oh, no, they can't. Well, no, they can weld it into play. The opponent has gotten a Mox. But I don't think that gets them anywhere. Okay. So we start with plus kill Goblin Welder. Then we go 1, 2, 3, 4. Lily of the Veil. -2. Target you. You'll get rid of Emery because you have the win on board. Then I Wasteland you, taking you off of the Ancient Tomb. So opponent needs to top deck a land for the win. Otherwise, I smallpox away their Painter Servant. Goodbye, Lily. A Myth Realized. Okay, so let me just confirm. We can cast Myth Realized. No, no, no. Sphere of Resistance. So I just need to smallpox here. Alright, and opponent scoops it up there. The game's not necessarily over, but the Lily Emblem should pretty much do it. And after they lose, like, their last card in this, and they have no mana in play. No, well, no, some permanent mana, but I think we're pretty much done there. So what do we have for Painter? Ashiok seems great. Pithing Needle seems good. And then we get to a pile of things that are all, like, all the rest of these cards in the sideboard do various things in the matchup. I think I do like the Surgicals. I'm starting to think about, like, what I'm going to take out as well. Because my opponent has this artifact mana that I can't interact with, which is going to be awkward. So against their recurring graveyard shenanigans, Tormod's Crypt is fine, although it's bad against Karn. We're playing against blue-red painter. So, I wonder to what extent I'm supposed to be playing with this sort of stuff, and to what extent I should just be attacking their hand and board and graveyard instead. Like, I took them off of all their mana this time around, but is that going to be the norm? So, like, let's just hypothetically say that I cut the spheres and the sinkholes. I can ward in all of these plus one other card. Which I don't hate. This leaves me with all the walkers, all the permanent disruption, some decent hand disruption. I really just worry about winning when I'm on the draw against this deck. Because if they have a... Yeah. Like, if they have a Soul Land start... My opponent is mulligan. I think I mulligan, too. Like, Tabernacle is great and all, and, like, Tabernacle Urborg is a combo. I do have the castle. Just, like, this being my first real play doesn't really seem disruptive enough. I think I'm gonna mull. Yikes. No, I think Crucible Wasteland, Crucible Fetchland is still fine to, like, leave the Crucible in as a one-of. I'm gonna keep this hand despite the fact that I don't have double black. I think I pitched the Wasteland. Actually, maybe I pitched the Caracas and just fetch a scrubland with this. Wasteland can mise me some games. Opponent has paused in their second main like they have something else. Urborg is nice. That guarantees that I can cast a spell next turn. I'm going to still, I think, just fetch a swamp with this, though. On the off chance that my opponent is, like, blood mooning, I want to have at least access to one of my swamps. I may be losing some percentage points by playing this game out in the way that I have. But I'm most comfortable doing it this way. So there's a punish for not getting scrub. There's definitely an argument for me. Veil of Summer? Veil of Summer. Sure. Your Goblin Welder lives to see another day. So there's definitely an argument for me that turn just playing the Ashiok and passing, since like shutting off my opponent's fetch lands can be pretty strong. But because of the Urborg that's in play, the fetch lands still produce mana, so I don't think it's worth Ashioking the previous turn. Pyroblast, Grindstone. Cool. I guess there's worlds where I'm going to end up like surgical extracting Veil of Summer next turn. So that I can 100% kill the Goblin Welder. But I guess that only happens if I draw a white source so I can Vindicate the Emery as well. Well, I can't surgical Grindstone yet. I don't even know that I care that much about said Grindstone. I'll surgical it if my opponent tries to put it in play, because then that shows me that they care about it. But I don't really care about it at this stage. All these different sorcery speed interaction things are kind of rough. Oh, so they don't have Metalcraft for this right now. So that's cool. So let's attempt to kill the active Goblin Welder. So they're attempting to flop the Grindstone into play, which I think I will just take the opportunity to surgical that and then nuke the graveyard. And I can pay mana to do so, because I haven't made my land drop yet. Grindstone, Grindstone with different art, other Grindstone, more other Grindstone. So let's go ahead and take a snipperoo of what all's left here. Oh, there's Okos in that deck, too. That's real good to know about. So now definitely wishing I had access to my white. Every Oko or Karn we hit here is just pretty strong. One Oko down. Since we have another Ashiok, I also don't mind just, like, minusing aggressively. The slightly awkward thing that it does is anything that's sent to exile can be gotten back with Karn. So Karn can get back like a Painter or Grindstone that gets exiled. And now my opponent's double blasts that were in hand are online. So that means I'm losing one of these Planeswalkers here. Presumably Lily Last Hope? Yeah. So now opponent also has a Mox Opal in there. So we've cleared out stuff for Emery/Welder reasons, but now this Ashiok is going to die. I think I'm okay with that. It's obviously not like my favorite thing. Not fetching that scrub was such a poor decision. So Ashiok has 5 loyalty. Let me look at my sideboard here. So I have Bridge, not Bantu, Tabernacles, other removal spells. I'm okay with this being a distraction or something that eats the Pyroblast in my opponent's hand. Alright, there goes a Karn. So that's at least a partial success. So do you want to blast this? If you want to blast this, you don't... Yeah, that's fine. I just don't want to give them the flexibility of leaving that blast up. So punished for my decision. So now we're getting into like scary territory where I can just get beaten to death by these things. I mean, that technically does something. Unless it just puts something into the graveyard so they can weld it in, but I don't think I can pass up the 2-for-1 given the opportunity. Neither can they. Hexproof from blue and black. Can still Wasteland. This is blue because of Painter. Alright, I'll do it in their upkeep, I guess. I'll tap this down. Destroy that. Veil of Summer is strong. So I have another problem in that, like, the Ensnaring Bridge is potentially not going to be an out because of all these white cards that I'm drawing. Alright. Deck, I have received the message. I lost this game when I didn't fetch the white source. I get it. What are you doing? Just turn one of these into a 3/3. Just, like, accelerate the immediate clock. Well, I guess that's humorous. Alright. So we have Vindicates for Okos. Do I have any other changes that I want to make? This Pithing Needle now also probably goes on Oko blind. So I'm sitting here thinking about, like, Smallpox versus Bantu's Last Reckoning. So Bantu's Last Reckoning is definitely better versus Oko. In that it can take out a bunch of elves, and also just a bunch of stuff that's sitting on the board. Maybe I'll attack the graveyard a little harder, just because, like, my opponent has, like, the Emeries and the Welders. And then do I just bridge? If I bridge and they wait for Oko, though, that's kind of bad for me. And I also need to basically win via Myth Realized, so maybe not the greatest. I think I should play one Duress, Smallpox, or Sinkhole to fill things out. I pick... My endgame cards are too good. I'm gonna play one Duress. Now I know I have 3 Veil of Summers to contend with as well. So that's scary. I'm going to keep this hand. I think I'm just going to play Scrubland Pass and not let them know that I have the Mox available to turn 2 this Liliana. I'm going to be discarding the Tabernacle to it. Discard Tabernacle, play Castle, play a Planeswalker, and just start sending the Planeswalker towards ultimate levels. We're hoping our opponent fetches non-basic so I can wasteland them into Oblivion. But with double Astrolabe, that's somewhat unlikely. Well, that's pretty good. Not like insane, but pretty good. I've played very little or no black-red Painter. I think I played it once, but that might have been Tezzerator. I know I've played Duretti in a questionable deck. So let's cast this Mox Diamond, discard the Swamp, put this Crucible into play. play out my Tabernacle while also shrinking that and making them pay for it. So my opponent can get a bobble back with Emery every turn, but Emery can't actually pressure Lily. Playing out more creatures to the board isn't great because of Tabernacle. Playing non-basic lands isn't good. Oh yeah, it is at negative power right now. Oh, okay. I see. So like fine and Andy, think about something like Dismember, right? So Dismember kills something because its toughness goes negative, right? So those values can be positive or negative. I don't know. We're like casting Liliana of the Veil. I don't know that we get to qualify as honorary D&T. Second main phase. Plus Lily on the Emery. Cast a Myth Realized. This is 3 mana, right? So I have 1, 2. I can't also do that. I've already played a land. But I can put a lore counter on Myth Realized. Yeah, now we're just like, play anything that's fun in Legacy channel. And be educational while doing it. Let me tell you, it is a hard time to be a D&T fan. I do not think the deck is amazing right now. Like, you can adapt to Breach, but by doing so, you lose a lot in other matchups. And even then, you're still not that great against Breach, because most of the stuff that you're doing still falls apart to Wear Tear and Swords to Plowshares, the cards that they're playing anyway. A vintage taxes brew, like a vintage style D&T list, or like actually play a vintage league with taxes. Either way, I'm in. Yeah, I would play vintage Hate Bears. I haven't played vintage in 6 months or so. Yeah, man, I would love to do a vintage league, actually. It has been many moons. Oh yeah, that's blue. I haven't been treating it like a blue card. I already activated my Ashiok. So let's send in this bad boy. I'll look forward to it. Just make sure that you like idiot check me and just say like this is a vintage deck when you send along the donation. Like I'm pretty sure I'll notice, but you know, just remind me that I'm doing this. That's true. All right, we have finally sent away the Emery. Opponent has 9 cards and 9 minutes left on clock. More than 9 life. Okay. Now what? Blast Lily? Blast Lily. So I intended on going to the 40K. So the registration happened in the middle of my class, and I thought, I'll be okay to wait about 40 minutes and then register at the end of class. Nuh-uh. Wrong. So my opponent have access to a grindstone in graveyard? No, they do not. So I'm going to wasteland this Ancient Tomb, but they can keep both of their creatures. I think I'm okay with playing this, activating this castle, seeing what I draw. That's good in a turn. So blow up Ancient Tomb, and activating the Myth Realized doesn't actually do anything here. So unfortunately, I have to pass. And this can give my opponent an opportunity to win. I think I'm pretty good if it gets back around to me again, but that is a big if. Alright, opponent has let the painter go. So I guess I like that part. Did not attack into the Myth Realized. Ooh, another Myth Realized. That's cool. So I guess I go cast a Myth Realized, grow the Myth Realized. Play a land from graveyard. Vindicate that welder. Opponent will probably weld back in the painter. Hopefully not welding in the painter and then blasting. There's also Veil of Summer that I might have to worry about. Yep. So I already played my land, right? I already played my land. Kalugaru, there are 250 people on the wait list for that event. Not gonna try anything like that. Oh, sorry, excuse me, 500 people on the wait list. So the 40K event is organized by Missouri MTG on Twitter, Jeremy, and he is running a relatively stacked, capped legacy event. It sold out in about 30 minutes of the signups going live. So it was just like absolutely crazy. Yeah, Legacy is dead, confirmed, right? Uh-oh. So now I am just mana away from being dead. So I'm going Mythrealized, activate. So I can go 1, 2, 3, draw a card, and see if there's anything that I want to play. I'm not going to Wasteland this turn. Alright, so that's just a scrubland, so that does nothing. So I can't attack with this Mythrealized, but I can attack with this one. I am dead to 1 mana from my opponent, because they could upkeep Welder in Painter. And then just Painter Grindstone me. So, like, by all rights, with my opponent having as many cards as they do, I should just be dead here. So, like, this is the stage where they just, yeah, they Astrolabe for Painter, let Goblin Welder die, play a land, and kill me. There's no way they don't have another land with 9 cards in hand, right? Yeah. We're going to set a stop in our upkeep, folks. All right, so notice that our entire library is gone, right? Okay. Following me so far? Here's the pro play. You know what's coming? I hope you do. Wait, what do you mean I'm dead? I'm still at 17 life. Yeah, king of my own castle. Okay. Thoughts on the deck list for tonight? It was clunky, but we kind of expected that going in, right? So we're playing so many black symbols. Like you'd think we were like some sort of devotion deck from standard if like many of these things actually went in play. So like when you look at all these double black cards, and then you also consider that we're playing some things that don't cast them, like Caracas, Plains, Ports, Wastelands, Tabernacles. You know, it is a little suspect to throw these extra cards in there. I think that I would rather be playing a mono black version of the deck if I was going to do that. You know, I don't know that the 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 cards that we've splashed for really increase the power level of the deck enough and give the deck enough more flexibility that it is actually worth making the mana so much worse. So, like, for example, against Painter, in that last round, because I was scared of a potential like Blood Moon effect or like a Wasteland or something of that nature. That would have been uncommon but not unprecedented in the deck. Because I was scared of that, I fetched a basic land, and it cost me the game because I drew. I think I ended the game with like 3 of these 6 cards in my hand. Or sorry, 3 of these 9 cards in hand. Or no, it was more than that. It was 4 or 5. It was a lot. But like, we definitely lost at least one match due to the splash. More generally, like, just comparing this to the other deck that we played, like, ignoring Maryland, because that card didn't do anything. I'm pretty sure if I was going to, like, play something like this, I would rather just play 3 Plague Engineers in the main deck and, like, run something that's closer to this, where you have, like, more actual turn 1 plays, more, like, removal spells for creatures, and a couple of things that can just cascade the game out of control in another direction. You think mono black and running a Karn package might be better? Yeah, that's certainly possible. Like, Karn provides a lot of power to decks. Another thing that I noticed is, like, we were surprisingly scared of, like, Nullrod. Even though, like, we only have these mock diamonds. But because we're often destroying our own lands with Smallpox, like, we do lean on these pretty hard. So, you know, that kind of is what it is. But, like, it was definitely fun for a one-shot stream. And again, thank you to Niklas R for donating to make this one happen. Couple of things for people who weren't around at the beginning of the stream. Number one, the very regal Phil emote from the Legacy Premier League has now arrived on my channel. So that's in the chat. Number two, from now on YouTube, my VODs are going to be color-coded. So all the daily D&T content is going to be kind of the purpley one on the left, and all of the stream videos are going to be the blue color that's on the right, so that when you go to my channel, you can quickly at a glance see whether you're looking at D&T or non-D&T content. So that's something that I thought would be useful. And huge shout outs to the artist who randomly emailed me about this. That was Jeremy G. Super appreciated it. Yeah, I love the pixel art that Julian had commissioned for the Legacy Premier League, and I just had this idea like, hey, while I'm waiting for my Chalice emote to be made, you know, why don't I throw this one into the chat? So when I get a few more emotes, we'll move some of them around. So, like, my tier 2 emote is currently this Blood Moon one, the quote unquote Moon Man from back when I was playing a lot of white-red taxes. That one will get bumped down to tier 1 probably sometime soon. Like, maybe when the Chalice emote goes live. I'm not 100% sure. After that, I'm not sure what I want my next emote to be. I was thinking some sort of sad Thalia face would probably be good and appropriate for many of the tragic things that tend to happen on this channel. Where are we at in terms of donation queue? I think lands is Thursday. I left that one out when I posted it on the website. Yeah. So Thursday this week, we're going to have lands. And then instead of a Saturday stream, I'm going to be streaming with Habibi MTG on Sunday. I'm going to be a guest on her channel. We were talking, and I threw out a handful of ideas. She says it's between me streaming D&T or Red Prison, so I'll potentially just play Red Prison with her, because I don't really think D&T is all that great right now, if I'm being honest with you all. And if I'm going to be a guest, I'd, you know, really like to do some winning. So I think that's going to end the night for me. Folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you do, please follow the stream. I'm usually playing Legacy 3 days a week here. And if you really enjoy, please consider following or doing something else to support my content, like a donation deck list, like the wonderful things you've seen tonight. I'm going to go ahead and turn you over to my friend Eric Landon, who is presumably playing some Legacy. Bye-bye, have a great night, folks, and I look forward to that vintage donation at some point. Take your time on it, though. Like, get me a good list.